we're matching.
Hey, yo. Welcome to the wonderful world of Hungry Heath. I'm not a classically trained chef. What I am is a self-taught home cook. I've studied under several television chefs. I have a PhD from YouTube University and a black belt in Google Food. I love to cook. The only thing I love more than cook is my wife. It's a sensational show. You eat steak. Together we host what we like to call the Friday Night Feast. This happens every Friday night, 6:30 Central. We'll cook up an entree and there's some little snacks. Show you how we do it. There's Spanish eating, just chewing the fat. All our friends in the Hungry Horde. Hope you tune in sometime. Love to have you over for dinner. Today's video is not really a video, I guess. It's our live stream.
Yeah.
This is for my MS Journey week 178.
I think either you need to adjust, see the camera, you're kind of off when you lean forward. So you either need to get closer to me or stop leaning forward.
I'm just trying to get comfy.
Yeah, what did you tell me this morning? You said I dress too comfortably.
Me?
Remember?
Yeah. I guess.
And I said, well, I took it from you because you said you dress for comfort because I always just wear a t-shirt and jeans or shorts.
Blah, blah, blah.
And you were like, no, you should wear your
giddy up
other clothes to go shopping. I'm like, I want to be comfortable. You said, yeah, but you look so good.
But also, when you picked those clothes out, you tried them on and said they were comfortable. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I'm having a keto chow ice cream. I think it's the Irish cream. It has a sticker on it that said Irish, so I'm guessing that's what it is.
Irish cream, yeah.
Just a guess. I made them a couple of months ago, and I'm finally getting around to eating them. And I saw we have 3 more empties over there, so I'm going to make some more today.
Okay. Good. Well, everyone, how are we doing today?
Good.
I'm still waking up, even though you're like, but Shelly, what do you have there? And those of you that have the app, you know that they sent a 75-point bonus today.
Another one. So this is 3 days in a row.
Well, we didn't get it yesterday.
I thought you did. I thought you
No, there wasn't. Yeah, we got it. We got bonus points.
No, we're getting Dutch 3 days in a row.
I know.
So
who do we think we are? Let's see. Oh, yeah, we got 100 points today, 107.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty good. So we are up. Let me know, those of you that are Dutch people, do you let your points accumulate? So we have 768 points.
And it says we have 2 things on there we can redeem for freebies.
Yeah. Well, so the freebies, either a medium drink. I never cash in for a medium drink. That's just silly. Or any drink for $3.25. Uh-huh. That's what I wait for because it's any drink. So even if you add a shot, if he gets the Rebel, whatever, you can fancy it all up and it's completely free. So I always swap the $325 for any drink so that we can get a large and add extra shots and everything else. But I try to let the points accumulate until we have like 2 or 4 or 6 freebies. Let me know what y'all do.
And speaking of the Rebel.
Oh?
I got some good news, bad news about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you have a question, I see a question popped up, and then we'll say hello to everyone. But Mom Bear Lynette said, Heath, looking back at the last 5 years, which 3 foods do you think rank as the top for having the biggest impact on your MS improvement? Wow, that is such an amazing question, Lynette. Wow. That's
making
awesome.
Me go that deep this early? Thank you. Okay, top 3.
I already know what one of them is. I know number 1.
Eggs.
Yeah.
Steak. I guess some bacon.
Has the impact on the food that you think actually helps your MS the most? Probably. So we know eggs because eggs are really good for nerves because the selenium in them. And he can really tell a difference, specifically with eggs, because if he does go without the eggs, which he's done that a couple times, within a couple of days, he starts getting very imbalanced.
Yeah, shaky.
Yeah, and shaky. So the eggs definitely play a huge role. I would say that steak or protein in general, because you do need a good amount of protein.
Mainly beef, though.
Yeah.
Beef, pork, and then chicken.
Yeah,
In
mostly
that order, actually.
Well, what about would you rank salmon in the top 3? Because salmon's supposed to be really good for nerves and overall health.
Yeah, forget about that. So it actually probably be eggs, steak, and salmon.
Yeah,
in that order.
And he should be having salmon 2 times a week for, to really get the sustained benefits. And honestly, we are not as diligent about eating salmon that often.
We should be, though.
Right, because I think salmon overall, is very, very healthy.
And it's very, very good.
Yeah, especially for his autoimmune. I think the salmon has some good health benefits to specifically help multiple sclerosis.
How does it rank against rainbow trout?
I would put it above rainbow trout. Yeah, because overall it's just like eggs. It's got a good amount of fat, and we know a lot of the really good nutrients are fat soluble nutrients. So that's why they're paired with things like an egg or salmon. Things that are higher in fat tend to have really good nutrients in them.
That's why I try to eat at least 4 hard-boiled eggs every single day.
Yes.
And I only became realized that and come about that by accident. Actually, it was a couple of years ago when we had that big snowstorm and we were stuck in a hotel for several months. That it was an extended stay, but they still put out a breakfast buffet. Of course, it had all the carbs, so I just put those to the side. But another thing, they had little cups already done up, peeled hard-boiled eggs. And there was 2 per cup, and I grabbed 2 cups. So I was eating 4 a day, and I felt amazing. So I just keep doing that.
Mm-hmm. Now, honestly,
prior to that, I never did it, though.
No, because we didn't put 2 and 2 together. But what's interesting is another channel we found when he first started his MS. They just don't put out videos really. But that guy said he noticed when he was starting to feel that he was going to get a flare-up, he would just start eating a dozen eggs, and that'll either mitigate the flare-up or his session would be a lot shorter length than before. And I was like, there's something to that. And to me, I was like, well, maybe that should be your sign. You should continually eat eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we found out. So that's why silver lining, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Like we did not, of course, plan on having that huge storm and our house being under construction for so long.
Can't see us.
There it goes. So it should be, there we are. Sorry, y'all. So yeah, I think that the eggs, because of that situation, that helped us realize how important eggs are. And honestly, he kind of overboils it. Really, for optimum, you should have the yolk be as runny as possible.
Well, that's how I eat them when I fry them.
Yeah, but that's when you would get the most. So maybe like instead of having 4 eggs, you could probably get away with eating 3 if you had runnier yolks. But otherwise, 4 works for him.
I'm kind of lazy when I make them. I do them in an Instant Pot. I try to do the 5-5-5 method. I set it for 5 minutes and I kind of forget about it. Sometimes I'll set it like this morning and I won't actually go tend to them again until this evening. It's just because I get busy doing other stuff. And they're cooked and they're good for me. So
yeah. So that's good. That was a great question.
Thank
you. Let's see who else is here. I see Lisa is here. She went to the farmer's market today. So humid. Oh, I bet.
That's also why you weren't going to go yesterday, huh? You didn't feel like dealing with all that.
Oh, you have to get there as soon as they open. I secured the kombucha.
Nice.
It was lucky to also find Mum Foods Barbecue.
Oh,
I bought a half pound of pastrami. The barbecue guy said all he had was moist cuts. And of course, I said, yes, please.
So how you're supposed to order.
Right. Oh, that sounds so good. Shauna's here. Hey, Shauna. She said, good morning. And I see Mama Bear Lynette is here. And 22 Cute Cat said, hello, all ready for your MS Journey update, Heath.
Everything's going groovy.
And then Mom Bear Lynette said, I have a 4-pound pork shoulder in the slow cooker. We'll have it for dinner with a rosemary cream sauce.
Oh, that sounds good.
I think I'll make some turnip hash browns to go with it. Ooh, that sounds amazing.
All right, we're on our way. We're coming over for dinner.
I know. Oh, and Shauna said her back is feeling better.
Oh,
that's good. And Lynn said we're twins because we're wearing the same color shirt. You know, couples that
dress together, stay together.
That's right. And Patty's here. Hey, Patty. She goes, it's all about being comfortable. That's what I say.
Brain freeze.
Rickwood. Hey, Joe.
We missed you last night.
I know. Sitting down for breakfast after working in the garage this morning. Well, yeah, time to work. Before the live, we started cleaning the kitchen. I'm trying to do a deep clean of the kitchen. So, like, moving everything, cleaning back and under and around. And I feel like we got about halfway done. So we still have some more to go.
So I was telling you, I think we need to actually move the range and the refrigerator.
Probably.
But before we move the fridge, we got to unload all the stuff off the top of it. It becomes
for tall people.
Yeah.
But which is good to deep clean. Does anybody else like to declutter or deep clean? Because I always like to kind of reorganize things. I think that helps freshen things up, you know, not to put everything exactly back. I redo it. And like there were some things that I was like, okay, why am I keeping this out? Like it was tea mix. I was like, I know I'm not going to drink any hot tea anytime soon. In the little coffee cabinet for my tea holders for later. And then like little things, I'm like, okay, we don't have to have this out all the time. We can move this here and then just kind of rearrange it and it freshens things up, I feel like.
House.
Right. Because then you're like, oh, okay, that looks better. And like already, I feel like that area by the stove is not as cluttered and more opened up. Shauna said, I'm probably not going out for bonus points. I usually use them on weekends. I'm at a scrapbook retreat.
Oh, nice.
Well, and
we weren't planning on doing this. It just happened.
Today's you had to spend at least $10 to get the 75 points.
And when I told her about it, she goes, okay, but go read the fine print. It may be for certain drinks only. Because like there was one the other day, you had to buy the churro drink.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not going to get that. So there's no point in even leaving.
Right. And then I see Patty said, I'm here just for a little bit while folding laundry. We have lots of little projects we're working on today around the house today and tomorrow.
Yeah, we got laundry going right now too.
That is my plan too. I'm sure Heath's plan was to sit on the couch after the live, but my plan is we're going to keep cleaning and getting things done.
My couch misses me.
I think it's fine. Rickwood said she did not get a message from her phone or computer. I know I clicked yes on the email. I remember you did. So I forgot. And I was watching the tornadoes. I don't think, well, I do get a reminder on my phone. Are you Gmail? You have to have Gmail loaded on your phone with the notifications set to on. That's how I get it because your notifications are going to come from Google. And so if you're not a Gmail client or a Google client, I don't think you'll get the notifications. You'll just get a reminder email. But if you do have a Google account, then you should get the reminder on your phone. Usually, I think 30 minutes till. But I'm sorry you missed it. We were all wondering. We were like, I thought Joe was going to come tonight. And then we were trying to remember if you
were traveling.
Or if you were busy in the garage. Yeah, that is something. You know how it is. Sometimes as much as we try, there's not always reminders, right? 2ATQ Cat said, this is a pattern. That pesky cat seems to show up at the beginning of every video. I know. What is up with that?
Brain freeze.
You okay?
Yeah.
Shada said, currently having breakfast, keto
nice.
chow, birthday cake, coffee, and a half bag of porky good nacho cheese rinds.
Nice.
Ooh, nice. Sean's here. Hey, Sean said, hello, everyone. How are you doing? Rickwood said, emails are loaded on my phone and I always get notifications. Oh, that's weird.
I guess from now on, we'll send you a reminder.
Right?
We do it for a couple other people. Well, the masters do.
Yeah. We'll send that. And then I think we already know what we're doing for June, but I haven't finalized a date yet for the June cook along.
Right. What I want to do is reach out to Coda and see when he's free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see what weekend he's got available.
See, because if he's working at another show.
Yeah. Patty said a rack of baby back ribs out resting, have a full pan of part goat cheese, part cream cheese, stuffed jalapenos, and 4 links of sausage going in. Plenty leftovers for lunches. Y'all are making me hungry. I'm technically fasting today, but man, reading all this.
I already had some that leftover tri-tip and the Brussels for lunch. And I have 2 or 3 more servings for the rest of the week.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to cook some more stuff on Tuesday. I don't know what yet.
Well, you had that ground beef pulled out.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it, though, is what I'm thinking.
I don't know, make burger patties.
Yeah.
You make smash burgers.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I'm lazy. I'll probably just throw it in the instant pot.
But then you don't like all the juice.
That's why I said I'm going to use a strainer on it so I can pick it up out of there.
So you said there was something highly important you wanted to talk to everybody about.
I'm going to be making some more changes to my diet, unfortunately. Somebody's been on me about it for a while. I blew it off. Didn't think it was all that important. But then I just stumbled across a video the other day on YouTube or on Facebook. And they were talking about, there was a real quick clip from an interview. I don't even remember who it was. I haven't been able to find the full thing. They're talking about how you can, by drinking those energy drinks, can actually cause brain damage. And there was a quick mention about causing neurological problems, which is what MS is, a neurological disease. So why am I going to handicap myself even more?
Right.
So I have maybe 30 of them left. I haven't actually put a count on them. I know I have a tray full of them in the fridge. Once I'm done with these, no mas. So that's the bad news. The good news is it's going to save me some money, free up some room in that extra fridge. And then also when we do this road trip here coming up, we were planning on how we're going to get them all and how we're going to have to stop and buy some on the way. But now I don't have to do that. We're not going to have to worry about bringing any with us or finding any while we're out and about if I'm not going to drink them.
Right. And what did you say you're going to drink instead?
Probably the Relight, the Boost.
Yeah. Where did you put that container?
It's in the table in there.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to come show them?
No. I know you got, Boost is kind of like Redmond's energy drink one. I think they are redoing it and going to rename it, but that's their energy drink equivalent, but it'll also have electrolytes.
Relight, isn't it?
No, Relight's just their electrolytes, babe.
Right.
Boost is the energy, so it has some little bit of energy in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I told him, I said, I think that'll be for the best, because what it was saying is the energy drinks, because it's some of the ingredients, I forget which one, that it almost starts like an electrical shock to the brain. And then plus a lot of them, if you're sugar free, they use sucralose, which there's some people are okay with it. Some people are against it. And I don't know. I just feel like if there's questionable that much, probably better not to have it for Heath. And so I think overall that'll be a better option for you. And he does good with stevia and stuff. So, he'll do the Redmonds instead. And I just think that'll be overall, that's a better option than what all's in these energy drinks.
What's wild about that too is I don't drink them for energy. I really don't feel any livelier or whatever from them. I just like the taste.
Yeah. And that's why I said, well, I would rather spend the money at Redmond's. We know they're a good company. I mean, I don't know who owns Rockstar, but I was like, I feel like Redmond's is a good company to support. If we're going to spend our money, why not spend it with a company that I know is a good company, and I know the ingredients are going to be clean and it's going to be better for you.
And like for the energy drinks, I wasn't loyal to any one company. I only was drinking Rockstar because they were the cheapest. They're cheaper than Monster or Bang. And that's the only reason why. And I had to get them through Sam's and get them delivered.
And another question. Shauna said, will you start getting your Dutch rainbow with green tea instead?
Yes. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah. So this week, every time he's gone, it's been with the green tea. And a lot of times I was getting it with the green tea anyways, because
it's cheaper too.
It's cheaper because it's like $2 to get it with the Rebel versus the green tea. So when I order it, I always order it with green tea. But when he goes, I think he does it with the Rebel.
Not anymore, though.
But not anymore. So not this week. And you were saying, because part of that interview talked about the restroom issues. And you were like,
yeah. I'm constantly having to go to the bathroom for number one. And it's kind of a struggle sometimes at work, especially being on the phone all the time. Because in fact, I got my doctor to write me a letter. We put it in for my job. They gave me an extra 10-minute, extra break every day to help me with my bathroom issues.
So this, have you noticed this week? Well, you're still drinking some of the Rockstars.
Yeah. Well, I usually drink one a day, except on Fridays I usually drink two. I drink one while we're on live. And that's only because I want to show off the tall can koozie. I'm silly like that.
Lynette said, I know the first couple of weeks will be difficult without the energy drinks, but it'll get easier with time.
It really wasn't that bad, honestly, because that's what I did whenever we did Triple B and E.
Yeah.
I didn't have them. Like I said, I mainly drink them, or solely drink them, just because of the flavor. I don't need them. I just enjoy them.
Right, and that's why I think the Redmonds, and I've tried to push the Redmonds before, because the one I got you, I think, is raspberry mango. Boost, and I'm like, that's your flavor right there.
The only problem is I'm kind of weird. I'd rather have the little single serves. I know it's more cost effective to get the buckets, the little tubs, but it's easier to just open one and throw it in there. I feel like they mix better. I don't know. I'm weird about it.
Toy TQ Cat said, good decision, Heath. Rickwood said, congrats to you, Heath. Try it for 90 days and see how you feel.
I mean, I had to do that with my the diet sodas too, you know. So I kind of miss them, but it's all right.
Well, and you learn as you go, right? You know, you figure out what could be, you know, because he's. I mean, he says all the time, "Oh, I'm fine," but like earlier today, you bounce off the wall.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I tripped over something, hit the wall, and knocked the picture off. I gotta go fix that. See if I can even put that frame back together.
And then, but sometimes you do dance with the refrigerator and stuff. So sometimes your balance, it's still
desired.
Yeah. And if y'all have gone with us, like when we've gone shopping and stuff, sometimes it's like he doesn't have the stamina. So
I almost always have to have a cart.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, well, maybe, you know, doing this. Let's just see if you get better stamina and everything. And
especially with the heat, I even finally broke down and got a handicap marker for the car. Whenever I asked my doctor about it, he's like, I was wondering if it's going to take you so long to get one. Because I didn't want to push it on you, but if I figured you would want it. I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah. But I still think it would be better if you go without it, you know, as long as possible to try to push your stamina better, push to have better balance, you know, like how DDPY will bring those people on and they're able to stand on one leg. I would like you to be that balanced eventually.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Shauna said, I prefer sucralose to other sweeteners, but it's good to make healthy choices. Yeah, and you just have to figure out what works for you. I think I try to personally avoid it. I know when I get my Dutch that's probably what's in those syrups. But overall, I do try to avoid it as much as possible.
At least we're not doing it 7 days a week.
Right. And this week has been too much. So we'll have to put a halt to that for a week.
It's like I tell you with keto. When you know better, you do better.
Right. Exactly. And so that's what we're just going to try to do better from here and hopefully see if that helps them even more.
And remember also, too, when we're planning that road trip, we were kind of spot checking it everywhere. Like, oh, there's no Dutch. There's no Dutch. There's no Dutch.
Yeah, but I do like trying local coffee shops, so I'm always up for that.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't drink coffee, so.
Yeah, so for Heath, he's just like, I think that's the reason we like Dutch is because Heath could get him a drink as well as me get a drink. But then, when we on a road trip, sometimes it's just a coffee shop. Right. Shauna said, I think I prefer it with the green tea. Which do you prefer?
With the Rebel.
With the Rebel?
I don't know. Something about, especially when I get it blended, it does something better. If the ice forms a little more so. I don't know. It just tastes better, too. Mm-hmm. And it gives a little something to it.
Sean said, good on you, Heath. I know it's tough giving up something you love, but it's worth it for better health.
Right.
Right, Sean? Right. Better health. As long anything we can do to prolong feeling healthy, being healthy, having good movement, I think we should strive for because, it's hard when you get older, if you're unable to do stuff. And we've both seen that with our parents.
Right.
Not able to do stuff. And, that kind of pushes me where I don't want to end up in that same boat,
Right.
I don't want to end up not being able to care for myself or do basic necessities. That's why we're participating in the squat challenge starting next Saturday, is June 1st. So I know many of you will be joining us. And I checked it again. It does start with 50 squats on Saturday. But again, if you're not used to doing squats, start with 5. Start Saturday with 5, and then each day, maybe the next day you do 6, and then the 7. So you create your own plan to kind of push you a little bit forward, and then we can just do this together. So it's not a competition, y'all. This is an inspiration and a personal challenge. So you determine what's that personal challenge for you. So again, if 50 is like, oh, I can't do it, start low. I started at 5 squats a day and I've slowly increased. I'm now up to 45 squats.
Wow.
Well, because I'm getting my body ready for 50. I didn't want to do a huge jump, go from 30 to 50. So just pushing that in and getting to and honestly, I still 45, I do in the morning. I wake up, I use the restroom, I do my squats, and then I go to work. And I still get all that done really quick. So it seems like it'd be a lot, but it really does not take that long to do, 45 or 50 squats. So I'm right here with you, but you figure out what works for you. And then, you can even split it up. So if you want to say, well, 50 is a lot at once, you could do 25 and do it twice in a day. I think the best time is to work out in the morning when you're fasted, do what you can. And then after you eat like your biggest meal of the day, also after that, try to do some kind of movement because then that helps lower that cortisol and insulin spike at that time. So try to do those so you can split it up and do it that way.
All right.
So I think it's going to be fun. And you're participating, right, Heath?
Yeah.
Shauna said, my brewed green tea is ready to make my Heath bro today. That's awesome. 2ATQ Cat said, I used to drink soft drinks all the time. Never cared for water, but now water is really all I drink. I prefer sparkling water or some kind of carbonation, though.
Yeah.
Never ever thought I'd drink plain water.
Well, to me, it's
right?
like prisoner rations.
I enjoy water,
and then
but
growing up, it was punishment. If we were in trouble, that's all we were allowed to have.
well, and that's a
PTSD.
Yeah, that's a childhood trauma thing.
Yeah.
But I guess to me, I've always just enjoyed water. So it's never been an issue for me to drink water. And I'm cheap. So usually when we go out to eat, I just drink water because that's cheap. Whereas Heath usually orders a tea, and those can be $3, $4, $5. So I'm like, no, I'd rather put that towards something else. And then Tweet TQ Cat said, sorry, no Dutch Bros in the area. Are you going to cancel me for a visit? No. And
we'll just suffer.
Right. And there's not any in Ohio or Indiana. We won't get to any, I think, until we're back in Texas. So that's fine. There's other local coffee shops, right? Maybe you can even suggest a good coffee shop. Oh, Sharon's here. Hey, Sharon. She said, howdy, all. We were just talking about you, about the challenge coming up. Sean said, going down to help my sister with my dad has really opened my eyes. Yeah. I don't want to be in a position where my kids have to take care of me. Right. It's like, I don't think people always realize, especially when you're in your 20s or 30s, you're
invincible.
Right. You're invincible, and you don't really see that with your parents or grandparents. The first time I had my eyes awakened was when I first went on a cruise, and I saw so many people in wheelchairs and oxygen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to have to be in a wheelchair to go on a cruise. Right. And, to all of that and the oxygen. And that's when I actually went vegan. Because that's when I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get healthy? And I was in my early 30s. I guess I was, 30, 31. And, I thought I was doing what was healthy for me, because that really opened my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh. And I guess that was the first time I really saw, outside of a hospital, right? And just regular day to day, I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to end up like that.
That's really cool.
And so now, then when I took care of my grandmother and then my mom and Louie had a stroke, and everybody thought Louie, he was, regular weight for his age and everything. He looked healthy, and he still had a stroke. And I know he was already on different heart medications. So even though he looked healthy right from the outside, you would have thought, well, he gets around and, he's skinny and all of that. But nope, he still had a very bad stroke. And, unfortunately, he really can't walk much anymore. And he lost the ability to talk because of his stroke. So I just those things are kind of scary. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to end up that way. So what can I do to hopefully prevent that, or at least delay it as long as possible, right? And then the way you saw your father.
Right. He had emphysema.
Mm-hmm.
We're using a machine, but he's still smoking. He was like the poster boy for Marlboro. I think he only stopped using them because he found a cheaper brand.
But then also he just didn't get around. You're always telling me everything that's good for my couch, which reminds me a lot of your father, because that's how his attitude was.
That's true.
Because he was like, what? Because you remember a couple of times we had people over and we were like, hey, can you come over and make sure they're doing it right? He's like, as long as I got a chair and I can sit back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, you have that same kind of attitude with things.
I learned from.
Right. And then look how he ended up. His legs were all swollen and black. He wasn't a diabetic, but he had the legs of a diabetic.
It almost like he had leprosy, the way the legs looked.
They were black and it's so swollen and, leaking and all of that stuff that I've always seen with people who are bad diabetics. And then he would tell us, oh, yeah, all I have is just a little piece of dark chocolate every night. I really do avoid all of the sugars. That's why I'm not a diabetic. But then when we went to his house, there was like sugar everywhere. He had cookies hidden places. And I'm like,
Debbie's.
Yeah. And I was like, who is he fooling by telling us all he ate was a little piece of dark chocolate where he's got nothing but sugar everywhere?
Because he's the one I learned it from. Those the Thin Mints from the Girl Scouts. That actually the dollar store has those year round, so you don't have to wait once a year and pay the same price. That's where I learned it from him, because that's where he got them.
Right. And so that's why sometimes I'm like, I want you to push your forward with the DDPY, because I don't want you to end up like your father.
Right. Well, I don't smoke. There's enough right there.
Well, yeah, but it was many factors to deal with your father.
Another thing, was so pro nicotine. When we invite him out to dinner or lunch or something, what kind of smoke there? I don't know, Dad. We're going to eat. We're not going to smoke.
Right. Yeah. But it was also, and he would always look for the minimalist way to walk. Right. Yeah. If we were like, oh, we want to go to this place, and he was like, oh, there's a lot of stairs and stuff.
Right.
So sometimes, it's seeing others, you try to learn and do better, right? So that we don't end up in that situation. Or like when I was at the grocery store yesterday, I was like, I feel like I'm very privileged that I can push a cart and not have to do the riding cart. And I feel like that is a privilege.
Yeah, because remember, he had to get to that point too, where he had to use the cart and ride in it.
Right.
It was really rough watching watching him do that too, because my whole life he was so active. He was always out in the yard doing stuff or building stuff, because he's one of the carpenters that taught me. That's why I tell you I'm a third generation cabinet maker. He was building stuff all the time. He used to get scraps from his one company he worked at, and he built his own trailer, his utility trailer, and left my stepmom shaking her head, like scratching, figuring out why he did it. Because what he did was he bought a welder machine and a acetylene torch and stuff, and he got those parts cheaper, and all he got the tools and the parts to build the trailer cheaper than he could just go buy the trailer, because he just pieced it all together and find it used and everything. He was just always smart about doing that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
And he could fix almost anything. But then he got in his older years and couldn't even hardly think. Even hired people to come even do his laundry and stuff.
I know.
It was just sad to see that happen.
Well, and that's what I think. Again, it kind of goes back to, because when I was listening to a few of the podcasts this week about health, I was like, yeah, a lot of people, I can't fault, like you said, your father or your sisters or whoever that we know is in bad health. I can't really fault them for it, because a lot of people ask their doctors, and unfortunately a lot of doctors just don't know and aren't given nutrition, and all they know is here's a pill that you can take, and they don't go through all that. And unfortunately, a lot of people have that mindset of, well, I have to hear it from a voice of authority. And it doesn't matter if you could tell them, or if they even see it on YouTube. A lot of them, that isn't enough. So I feel like everybody here, you should honestly thank yourself for being someone who is open-minded enough to listen to people on the internet, to figure out for your own self, how do I get healthy? Because I really feel like a lot of people, and I can't get mad at them or sad at them or say, well, you brought this on yourself, because they don't know. And they look for, well, okay, it's great. You're telling me all that, but my voice of authority doesn't say that. My voice of authority is telling me this is what I have to do. They're telling me diabetes isn't reversible. It's only manageable to an extent. They're telling me this is what I have to do. They're telling me this will keep happening. And that's just my genetics, or that's just the way it is. I got, the short straw kind of idea. And to them, they're like, okay, I get that you're telling me this, but my doctor or doctors, because like my mom at one point, she had like 5 different doctors she went to. None of them ever said anything about what foods are you eating. They're just like, okay, well, yeah, your heart's doing this. So let me write you a pill for this. And okay, we'll keep monitoring this.
That's why I love Dr. Berry's book, Lies My Doctor Told Me.
Right. But still,
yeah, I know.
You have to have, I think it depends on a person's mindset. I think a person has to already have that ability to be accepting of views outside of the norm and outside of who they look to for expertise. And I feel like a lot of people really don't have that in them. And you could tell them until you're blue in the face, but if they don't have that mindset, I'm trying to think if they don't have that, receptive. I don't think it's going to ever, like my coworker, I mean, I tried to reach out to her, but I'm like, yeah, I can already tell she
in one ear, not the other.
Yeah, she was just like, yeah, there's nothing that can be done. And then sometimes I think like your father, you get to a point where you really don't care that either this is your life and you're okay with it, and when it's over, it's over, and you don't have the drive to fix it anymore. Because I think was your father. He just didn't care. It was like,
he gave up.
Yeah, and he just gave up and said, well, this is how my life's going to be, and it's never going to change, and I don't want to put the effort to changing it. I'm better with this being I
just want to be comfortable.
My prerogative. Right. Like, okay, no, this is my story. I'm a diabetic, or I've got these issues, and that's just how it's going to be, because it's better than try to actually figure it out on your own. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to do stuff on their own. It's easier to just go with the flow than to figure it out.
Remember that time whenever we were sitting there trying to plan Dad's funeral? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Telling him all this stuff. There's a candy bowl on the center of the table, and he's telling me, he goes, I wish I could do that. Wish I could kill my diabetes, blah, blah, blah. I grabbed that as he's reaching into the candy bowl. So I snatched it away from him. So, well, there's your first step right there.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like I was crazy.
Right, because they're doctors. I know when I went for my late stepfather, who was a bad diabetic, ended up on dialysis, ended up losing most of his leg, none of the doctors said anything. In fact, even his dietitian that he would have, various ones would tell him, oh, it's better to actually have sugar, just have a little bit of it than to do the sugar-free, which, I mean, to an extent, yeah, since we know a lot of sugar-free stuff is maltitol, which is just as bad. I get what she was saying, but she never actually took that step. And I think the other side of this is, if you are a person over a certain age, I really feel like most doctors, if they see a client that is 50 or older, I don't think they try anymore. I think they just go, here's your pill. This is just the way it is.
What do they call it? Palliative care or whatever, how you say it?
Palliative? Yeah. No, I don't even think it's that. I think they just go, well, this person's over 50. There's no point in me trying to correct their ways, because it ain't going to happen at this point. And I think a lot of medical professionals, that's their attitude when they treat people who are older. I feel like if they get a customer who is in their 20s or 30s, they probably will try, oh, well, maybe you should try this or that. But I really think it's that ageism. Oh, I'm not going to eat, like, here's your pill. That's just easier, because at this point, if you haven't figured it out in your life, you ain't going to now.
You see, I don't even blame the doctor really anymore. Because it's what they were taught as well.
Right. That's what I mean. It's a huge thing, and they have to actually, a person has to take it upon themselves to figure out what is the best in life.
And I think it was easier for me too, because I'm sort of a skeptic anyways.
Yeah.
Because I've always made the silly comment about, well, doctors aren't experts. That's why they only practice medicine. They never get perfect at it.
Well, and I've always felt, and maybe this is bad, but I don't think that there's any one person that is higher than anyone else. You might be better skilled at something than I am, but I don't look at you like even a celebrity. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, it's a celebrity. No, you're a person. I'm a human being. You're a human being. One human being is not better than another human being. I feel like we're all levels. So when I've gone to doctors, I don't look at them as, oh, well, I never put doctors on a pedestal. Because I'm like, well, they're just telling me what they were taught, but that doesn't mean that exactly.
That's why I love it too. When she was in that hospital in New Zealand,
mm-hmm.
they never referred to Dr. Sam or Dr. Sue or whatever. It was always Sam. Sue. It was always called him by the first name. We asked her about it, like, yeah, she's like, he ain't no high and mighty,
right?
He's no better than me. Yeah, I'm a nurse. I'm just a tech here, but. Our shoes going, our pants going, the same way.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, because I worked in a hospital environment for a long time, and they, unfortunately, a lot of places, they put doctors on a pedestal. Even the staff treats them on a pedestal. And I'm like, I don't really think they should be on a pedestal. They're,
you got that degree. But
yeah, you've got a degree in a specific thing, but that doesn't mean that you're the most knowledgeable on that, because knowledge has to continue, and you might be great at knowing how the heart works because you're a cardiologist, but a human body, it's a whole thing. It's not one little thing. You have to look at the whole picture, because your body doesn't just go in one part. It's all together.
My thinking too is like that one comedian said, she got pulled over.
Oh,
the cop walks up and goes, you know why I pulled you over? She goes, yeah, I guess because you're a straight C student. That's all you can do now. How do we know he's a doctor per se, but how do you know where he graduated? How do you know he was top of his class? How do you know he didn't fail that exam 16 times before he finally passed it?
Right.
How do you know?
Right.
That's
or that he
skeptic.
He even cares, because sometimes doctors do just check out.
Yeah.
Just like any profession. That's again why I don't put them on a pedestal, because I feel like that's valid in any profession. We've all worked a job where we're like, well, I try really hard, but geez, half of these people don't know what the F they're doing.
Right.
Well, why would doctors be any different? It's a profession just the same, and the same with any medical profession. I mean, when I was pre-med, I knew a lot of people that were strictly going for that only for money. Like they flat out told me, I was like, oh, so why do you want to be, a nurse or a doctor or tech? And they were like, oh, because that pays well. And I would actually have people who they would give talks, and they were like, look, here's the medical professions that we really need right now that are paying top dollar. Like that was the push. And that's where a lot of people, oh, well, I'm going to go be, a CT tech because that pays really well. Whereas my view was always, no, I wanted to get into medicine to help people. And a lot of people, I can't say a lot, but when I was in that, I saw a lot of people I talked to were only focused on the money, and actually took classes several times because they were like, yeah, I made a C the first time, but I want to get in this one thing, so I have to have an A. And so they just keep taking the class until they got the A.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I know we're going on a rant here.
We have a tendency to do that, don't we?
Right? Sharon said, I'll be starting with 2 sets of 25. Oh, that's good. See, right there. That's how you do it. And Lynn said, I'll be starting with 1. I think that's incredible, Lynn. If you've never done a squat before, do 1. And then go from there. So just make sure, again, by Friday, take your measurements. Okay. So I'll be taking mine, taking Heath's.
Oh, boy.
And then we'll see after the month, no more check-in or weigh-in the whole month of June, y'all. Focus on the challenge, and then we'll see what happens at the end of June. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
And Sean said, have a bad case of the runs, and you can easily double your squat. Wow. To ATQ Cat, squats are not my friend. They never have been. I could do anything else all day long. It will seriously be a challenge.
Thanks for keeping it real, Sean.
Well, Lynn, I think that's good. If you know that squats are difficult for you, I think that's a great way to look at it is, hey, this is really a challenge. You can overcome this. Lynn, you have done so much. Right. You don't let the squats own you. You own those dang squats. And I haven't seen yet, but Maitreya we'll be putting out modified squats, so we could always start there if you need to.
Oh, if we tune in tonight for the coffee talk, or a reminder.
Yeah. Sharon said Sean doing potty squats with Heath.
Not together.
Holding hands. Kate's here. Hey,
Hey.
Kate. She said, hi, everyone. How are you?
We're just having potty talk.
Rickwood said, okay, Heath, you are saying you drink the energy drinks for the taste. Is it sweeter to you? Is there something you can add to your Relight or other drinks so that they have that sweet taste but no sugar?
Yes.
Is it the sweetness?
Yeah.
Oh. So what?
Well, that, and it's the fruity flavors, because being keto, I don't eat that fruit. And tropical fruits are my favorite. That's why she went to the mango.
Yeah. But I'm saying, when you have the raspberry mango, is that sweet enough for you?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. That's what she was asking.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So the Redmond is sweet enough for you.
Yes, it is sweet enough. Yeah.
Okay. I think part of it is rock stars or energy drinks are convenient.
Yes.
And again, going back to being lazy, it's convenient to grab a drink and open it up versus making a drink.
Right.
And Dwayne TQ Cat said, very good point. I save lots of money by just drinking water. Yes. Has anybody else watched those extreme cheapskates? I was watching this one person who does reels, reaction reels, and I was like, okay.
Well, that girl was reusing his floss.
Reusing his mouthwash. Yeah. But I was like, okay, there's a difference between a cheapskate and being frugal. Right. I am definitely on the frugal. I am not going to be somebody who's reusing mouthwash. Or like one woman, she told her husband he could only do a 2-minute shower to save on water. And they had all the lights out all the time. I'm like, and I've noticed that like on our weekly meeting on my team, a lot of the people, it's like all dark around them. A lot of people, I guess, work in the dark. I have my light on, but I notice like some others that's really dark behind them. And I'm like, they just don't have their lights on. I mean, I guess that's one way to save.
Right.
But I kind of like having my light on while I'm working. It keeps me awake.
Right.
Caden said, I noticed that my sisters who are thin and other family members, my mother, they never drank their calories. They mostly drank water. Me personally, I gave up sodas and have 1 to 2 topos and water daily. Well, see, I think that's good. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's part of it too. When I've listened is, to different people, like I listened to that glucose goddess. I'm not completely sold on her, but I think, she does point out that, a lot of times when people, like you go to a restaurant and they're having a soda, well, but you don't know that the last time they went to the restaurant was 3 months ago, and that's the only time they had a soda. Mm-hmm. It's not everybody, like she was talking about French culture, they walk everywhere, number one. Right. And they, they have a certain order and they're not always having a croissant all the time. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I think sometimes we see a certain aspect and we think, oh yeah, that's what we do all the time now. Oh, 1 soda? No, we could have 5 sodas a day.
Right.
Right. And I think that does make a difference. TQ Cat said, thankful I never smoked, so I never had to try and quit. Me too.
Well, the whole process of it just threw me off.
Yeah, Heath is not a fan of that.
Smoke around it, and then you had this glowing fire next to your mouth. I was like, no.
Well, I grew up, my father was a smoker, and I was highly allergic. So that automatically put me off because I was so allergic to it. Like when he mostly smoked in the bathroom, which was disgusting, y'all.
Yes.
But just being around it, whenever he would smoke around me, because he was so caring, right? Even though I was highly allergic, I would just be there like coughing. So my whole childhood, I was constantly stopped up because he smoked all the time. So I never wanted to smoke, because I was so allergic to it. And that's why sometimes when we've gone to like casinos and stuff, I can't even go to the casino because the cigarette smoke is so bad and I get so sick. And, that's happened. Like Shauna knows, on the casinos on the cruise ship, like I can't even walk through the casinos because sometimes the smoke is so bad.
And what's really bad about too, a lot of those folks in there aren't even actually playing the games. They're just in there smoking.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Yeah, and I've done that before, like been on a cruise, or if we've gone to a casino and I went ahead, I'll have, and I know this is disgusting, but I'll have black stuff come out of my nose. And it's just because of all of that. And so I never wanted to do any of that. And
it was rough.
That was one of my stipulations when I dated. I was like, first question, are you a smoker?
Me too.
And I'd be like, nope. And they'd be like, but I really want to. I was like, no, that was a hard limit for me.
Really
I was like,
is what you want.
No, if you're a smoker, I don't date smokers. And I was just really clear about it. And I even had one guy who was like, well, I'm quitting. And then we went out on a date and I could smell the cigarette because, if you're not a smoker, you can smell it. And I was like, you're smoking. And he was like, no, I'm really trying to quit. I'm like, okay, I told you I don't date smoker, but I brushed my teeth. I was like, it's still disgusting. No. So I apparently broke his heart, but I don't care. I was like, I just don't care for smokers.
Well, see, growing up, that was rough for me too, though, because my parents were divorced, but my dad smoked. My stepmom, every once in a while, depending on what kind of argument they got into. But then my mom and stepdad both smoked.
Yeah, see that.
So I got it double on that when I was at their house.
So. Right.
And then
I was lucky my mom never
for a while, remember? And he smoked.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, well, I grew up around it, it didn't bother me. But what until he started leaving the ashtrays in the floor, and I stepped in. I was like, nope, you can't smoke in a house anymore. Right. No mas.
Yeah. And not if you're a smoker, I mean, that's fine with you. But for us personally, we're just like, we just can't really do it. And that's why when we would go out with his father, he would even tell her, he'd be like, well, Shelly's allergic to smoke. So it'd be better if you do it, away from her. And his dad was pretty.
He would actually, like, we'd go out on
cognizant. And he would make
sure. He'd walk around to get downwind from her.
Yeah. But it's still, I would just be like, so yeah, sometimes it is hard, and thankfully my mom didn't smoke, and who she got with after my father, they weren't smokers either, so she was like glad of that. But I'm telling you, when I had to redo this bathroom because I bought my parents' house, like the walls, it was just that stickiness, and I was like, nope, I never want another smoker in here. It just anyhow. Toy TQ Cat said, I'm so glad we have the information these days to know and do better with our health. Just wish I had found out years earlier. Right, exactly. There is the information out there. Keto Simple's here. Hey, Dustin.
What happened to you this morning? We all of a sudden just lost you.
Right?
Do you have connection issues like we have?
He said, so many people would rather just have medication and eat how they got used to eating.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's it, is that it's that, but at the same token, most people don't tell people it's their food choices. So they will tell them, and this is my little issue with Glucose Goddess, because she'll be like, oh, you can eat your chocolate cake. And I'm like, I mean, can you eat your chocolate? I mean, you can eat whatever you want, but I think a lot of people, if they hear you can eat your chocolate cake, or maybe this is just me, let me know if I'm alone in this, you take that as, oh, I can have chocolate cake every day. Then she said it's okay, I can have my chocolate cake, I just have to eat in a certain order. And it's like, no, that really, and so because there's not clear information, there's no clear information on what is considered healthy eating, and most medical professionals don't really go into that. If anything, they tell people to eat less red meat.
Right.
And because there's so much different information out there that it's hard to pinpoint what is the healthiest, because everybody has their opinion on what's the healthiest way to eat. And because there is no consensus, you have to kind of figure it out. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, okay, so I need to change my way of eating, but which way do I go? These people say that's the healthiest, or do I go over here, do carnivore? Like, I don't want to give up my pasta and rice and bread and go carnivore only. And then I have people saying red meat's bad. So then do I do Mediterranean, or do I do Whole 30, or, and there's so much variety out there that I think it's overwhelming. And I think people are like, yeah, but which is right? Do I go plant-based or carnivore? Because which one, some people on both sides say they're healthy doing that. So which do you go with? And then it's kind of like, well, I would rather, I don't want to give up not having bread, because when we go out to eat, there it is. And I think a lot of people see that, or they see how hard it is, or they're being budget conscious and they're like, okay, I would like to get a hamburger and steak, but the price keeps going up. But guess what? Cereal prices are coming down, so it's cheaper to eat cereal for breakfast than eggs and bacon. And, well, I read the box. It says it's heart healthy.
Right.
So I don't blame people for that, because it is overwhelming when you do want to get healthy, if you even get to that point. Because I think a lot of people, when they go to their doctor and they're told, well, you're a diabetic, or you've got this or that, here's a pill, and they're not taught anyway about eating, maybe, oh, just cut down on the sugars a little bit.
Eat less and move more.
Right. That's what most are told. So I can't really blame them. And they, they're not told. So a lot of people have their own lives and their own thing they're doing, and don't want to spend the time or energy to see if what is the healthy way to eat out there. They just go, well, my doctor didn't mention it, so I guess I don't need to change.
I think it was easier for me too, because I've always had a different way of looking at things than everybody else. So I was more open to it.
Right. Well, and then you had your wife who gave you no option.
Well, that too, but I'm just thinking, like I was even discussing it with somebody at work yesterday.
Yeah.
Or not yesterday, but Friday. And he was telling me how I need to go more vegan or whatever. I was like, no. I eat a ancestrally appropriated diet. He goes, what do you mean? I said, go look through history. There's no cave drawing.
At the stage. I don't know why there's two. That's so funny.
We're interviewing ourselves.
There we go. That was weird.
We're interviewing ourselves.
Right? Okay. Ooh, where did I start?
If we skipped your comment, just say it again. We apologize.
Wow. There it is.
I love it.
Sean said, I gave up for a long time until Shell found keto. See, another wonderful woman who got you healthy, right?
Well, that's why I say I was halfway. When I was still working construction, I was out on the jobs. I was still going through the drive-thru and like that, and I wasn't sold on it. I thought it was just I guess that's part of it too. Growing up, my stepmother was always on all those different diets. She did, the grapefruit diet, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She was always doing those, and I just thought this was another one of those diets. And it wasn't until the doctor called me and told me that I needed to stop taking on metformin. I was no longer type 2. That really the light bulb went off. I was like, well, I'm not only doing basically part-time keto, and it's helped me this much. what's going to happen when I'm full time?
Right. And I think that's what it is a lot of people, when you know someone who goes keto and you're seeing how much better they're feeling, it kind of gives that hope that maybe you might have lost, like, well, this is just how it is. Then it gives you that hope, and then you try it for yourself, right?
But then also, like I said about me, how I look at things different. Remember, I had that one friend reach out to me when I went keto. When I first went keto, He told me, well, it's not going to last because once you stop, all that weight comes back. I was like, well, that's easy. Just don't stop.
I know.
That's why I don't really consider it a diet per se. Well, not in the traditional sense that everybody thinks of a diet.
Yeah.
To me, it's a lifestyle. This is who I am. This is what I do.
Keto Simple said, son-in-law told us they can't afford to go keto. I told him first step, switch sugar-free monsters over full sugar ones.
Yes.
He drinks like 2 a day. That's right. Start off slow.
Or, go ahead.
But I think what it is a lot of people it's like 2 camps. They think to go keto, they have to buy all the keto products, which, that would be expensive. Or they're looking at it as, oh, I can't eat, I have to buy all this meat. That's going to be so expensive. And they're not realizing you're not going to eat the same way, because when you're eating the standard American diet, most people eat 4 or 5 times a day because they got to have their snacks.
That's a lot of marketing too.
Right. And then they are eating a lot more of the stuff that really does add nutrition. And they're not seeing that, well, okay, maybe keto might seem like it's a little more expensive when you first start, but you're not realizing not only are you paying for nutritious food versus before you weren't eating anything nutritious, but also you're not going to have to be eating 4 or 5 times a day, and that'll save you right there. You will make up for that. And if you're currently on any medications, in the end, after you keep up with this, you're not going to have all those, and that's going to save you a lot of money.
I know it sounds silly, but my favorite thing is pay the farmer now or pay the doctor later.
Right.
And I always tell people too, one of the greatest NSVs we ever had from doing this. We used to put out 3 trash cans twice a week from just the food waste, boxes and whatnot. Now, the way we eat now, I put out 1 trash can once a week. From just our food waste.
Sharon said, out here, the people at work say, I could just take an extra pill after donut days. Right. And a lot of people have that mentality of, oh, well, there's a little fix to this. Oh, I'll just do, an extra pill, or I'll get the carb blocker or
That's
whatever.
what I was going to say. I see those all the time on Facebook. Eat your pizza and your pasta still. Just have this carb blocker.
Yeah. Or, oh, okay, well, then I just do an extra workout today or something. And it's like, again, it's not a little piece here or there. It's a whole thing that comes together. Lynette said, I think people just want to take the easy way out. It's just easier to take a pill, but in the long run, they could have had a much better life without the sugar. Addiction is real.
I'm a lazy person. I always take the easy way, but when it comes to this, I put in the work for it.
And I feel like
it took me a while, but I did it.
I think if you focus on keto products, it probably is expensive and it probably is a lot of work. But I really feel like keto is pretty easy. All you need is some kind of protein. And then most veggies are going to be okay. And that's it.
I think also it was easy for us, too, because we actually enjoy cooking.
Yeah, that's probably true.
How many people do we hear that say they hate cooking?
I know. I'm sorry, y'all.
I mean, so if you don't enjoy cooking, it is going to be difficult for you.
Yeah, you're right. If you're somebody that's not used to cooking or don't like to cook, again, that's why we're frugal, because it is so much cheaper to cook at home than go out. And I think that's why it's also easier, because we were already going to be cooking. And it was just easy to make, some pork belly Brussels and then have rainbow trout with it. There's a perfectly keto meal. And that's just as easy. And to me, it's easier in the long run. But like he said, you have to want to cook. because it is easier in the long run to be keto. Because it's not, to me, keto's not anything like,
Remember too, I told
you
you
don't need anything special to be keto. All you do is you're just getting food from the outer aisles. You're just getting good proteins and you're getting, good veggies. That's it.
remember my stepdad before he passed away was very, very anti-keto too. He thought it was just another crazy diet and my mom was doing it again. Remember? So I had the idea, because I'm a smartass, I was going to invite him over to have surf and turf. I was going to grill steaks, having some shrimp. We were going to make our pork belly Brussels to go on the side. Just put on this big old keto spread for him. And then tell him when he sits down, say, okay, well, you can't have any of this because this is keto.
Right. I think, and I honestly feel like that's why you don't see a lot of products by us, because
9 times out of 10, if the product says keto on it, it's not. There's only like 3 of them that I actually stand behind.
And I feel like to do keto, you don't need any product to do keto. All you need is what you would get at the grocery store. And so that's why we don't buy a lot of, the special powders and stuff, because I want people to see you can eat really well on keto. It's not hard. It's really easy. And it's the same food you're basically eating. You're just cutting out some of this stuff. You're, not eating tons. Your focus isn't, you're switching your focus from a carb meal to a protein-based meal. So instead of your focus being mashed potatoes or rice or bread,
like growing up,
you're switching to, okay, I'm going to have this steak be, or like spaghetti. Like we always loved spaghetti. Instead of it being focused on the pasta, instead you're like, no, I'm going to make this really good meat sauce, and you just eat the sauce.
Like growing up too, it was always a meat and 3 sides. Well, the sides were always carbs.
Right. Well, and then you just kind of switch to those sides, and then it's a lot more filling that way too. And I think once people,
little piece of meat and big old mass portions of the carbs, but it's also cheaper on the restaurant to do that.
Well, yeah, and I think if you. There we go. Oh, this is so annoying. Okay, let's read comments.
What I was trying to say was I love Dr. Berry's approach to it. And this is what rang with me first whenever I started following him, was the no pills, powders, or potions needed to do this correctly.
Yeah. Sean said, my sons say they can't afford keto, but they eat out 7 days a week. Yeah, that could be very, it'd be a lot cheaper. Keto Simple said, I'm not even sure it's taking the easy way out, but making major lasting changes in our lives is hard. It's overwhelming.
It really is.
It can be, at the beginning.
I was scared at first, honestly. There was a lot of discussion at the beginning.
Yeah, a lot of crying at the beginning for him. For me, it wasn't. I guess.
Well, yeah, because your wine was a lot different.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. My why was different. And I guess when I started learning about it, again, I didn't go the product route. When I started learning about keto, it was really like the diet doctors. They were like, look, protein, and here's a list of fruits and vegetables you can eat. That's what you do. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes pretty sense. That's why I did it in the hospital. I didn't even wait till I got home. I was like, I could do this right now. So I did it right then in the hospital. So maybe that's why for me it was a lot easier because of my why, and because.
And I think it's because you were in another country too.
And I think it was just realizing, okay, so you're just changing your frame of reference from carbs to more of a protein based. And then it just made it easy for me from there. Like, okay, as long as I know I'm getting, I select a good protein, and then I basically select, like greens or, broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels. There's so many that it made it pretty easy for me to switch over. But I think it's, again, you have to know why. And that comes with anything, whether it's financial planning, budget planning. When it comes to health, you have to know what your why is. If you're just doing it because somebody said, well, yeah, you should just do keto, right, then I could see it being hard. But I think if you look at it as, well, my why was I didn't want to die. And so, of course, I'm going to go in there with an open mind and willingness to learn how to do it. But I think if you come in with a different mindset, I can definitely see the struggles. So, like for Heath, because I was just like, no, you're going to do it.
Well, like I've always said too, my biggest struggle at the very beginning was my 3 favorite foods.
Yes.
Pizza, burgers, and tacos, which is bread.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times before this did we eat those meals?
Yeah.
On like a daily basis, 2 or 3 times a day.
Right, exactly. So I think that's why it was a struggle more for you, because you were just like, I'm having to give up these foods instead of mine was, if I eat this, I'm going to get healthy.
Right.
So it's just the 2 different mindsets. So I think that is part of it too.
I think
is
we
finding
eat
that mindset.
Food now too.
Yeah. And I do think that's why a lot of people in their 20s or 30s, it's harder for them because they're just like, well, I already feel okay. Like, they're not facing any overwhelming health issues. So they're just like, it's fine. I can have this bowl of pasta, and they're okay with it because they're not having that health crisis.
Or remember the thing, like my brother told me, he's giving up all sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we're sitting there eating dinner with or lunch with him, he's having a burger and fries with a milkshake, and he's dipping all the fries in that ketchup.
I know.
And I know he's going to go home later that day and have a beer.
Mm-hmm.
But he's giving up sugar.
Tweety UCat said, I guess we tend to make excuses when things get too hard.
Yes.
We're all at different places in life. Glad I saw the light and made necessary changes.
Amen.
Go me. That's right.
Amen.
Go Lynn. And that's what it is too. You, like when I talked about my coworker, I could just tell, I tried to plant the seed, but I could tell that no, she's not at
that spot yet.
That spot.
The breaking point, actually.
Right. And she might not ever get to that breaking point. I think sometimes it's easy. I don't know if it's easier. I think sometimes people are just like, well, this is life, and that's just the way it is. These are the cards I was dealt. I'm always going to be miserable, so might as well. And which is, it is sad, but I think a lot of people, that's their mindset is, well, this is just how life is. Life is hard, and then you die, and that's their look at it all. Let's see. Keto Simple said, it's a nightmare. Society changed to follow the guidelines. Now getting people to understand those guidelines were wrong.
Amen.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen.
And that it was the reason for the guidelines wasn't for overall health. And so it's a huge change. And I bet if people started getting told by their doctors to make changes, how do we get you off medications? I think it could start to change. People fear fat and cholesterol and still avoid it. Right. If we could get the medical profession as a whole, but that's the thing is, as a whole, they don't agree because everybody has different points of view. I mean, we see even in the keto and carnivore community, there's people with different views. There's people who are like, oh, all you have to do is just make sure you don't eat over 20 carbs. Doesn't matter where the carbs come from. You're good to go. That's keto. Or there's people who are like, no, if you have any carbs whatsoever, it's the death of you. You should only eat carnivore. And then you have, and that's just in the keto and carnivore space, what people's opinions vary. So can you imagine trying to get all of the medical professionals on board? It's hard for them to look over that. And everybody, again, there's not a consensus on what is the healthiest. That's why even now they say it's an N equals 1. You have to figure out what's healthy for you. And that just varies so widely.
I mean, look at me, though. It's been 5 years I've been keto. I'm just now realizing that those energy drinks aren't good for me.
Right.
Or the diet sodas.
Right. Exactly. And
So I'm my own worst enemy. Sometimes.
well, and I think people in general we are. Keto Simple said, when I worked in an office, I'd have facilities turn off the lights above me. I work better in the dim light. When it's bright, it hurts my eyes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
Maybe
I guess
I should check that while I'm sitting at the office. Because, I have all of those blue blocker glasses while I'm working. Maybe that would help.
turn the light off.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try it.
I'll try
I've done that before. I don't like, but I have to say, I don't feel like my office is bright. It's not like when I worked at a facility and they would have
the lights above you at the facility.
Yeah, there was lights. It really was bright,
especially if you had that the grid ceiling thing.
Yeah. But mine's just a little office, just the regular bedroom fan with the light, so it's not super bright to me. But
for the most part, we keep the house dark anyways.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just something to me when I work.
Because like every other
I want the lights on in there.
Every other room in the house right now is dark except for right here in front of us.
Right. But yeah, when I'm working, I want full light on. That's me. But I've done it before. I don't care for it. But you might like it. You could try it.
So I'm not writing on paper and stuff like that, so
that's true.
I don't need the light per se.
Well, and that's why I said several people I work with, it's always dark when they're on camera. 22Q Cat said, I will never call myself a cheapskate again. I'm grossed out by knowing someone is reusing their mouthwash. Nope, I know. It's called like extreme cheapskates. There's so much that they do on these shows that they show. I've always seen little clippets. But I was just like, oh, they're giving a bad name to frugal people because that's not what frugality is. Like, I'm not.
That's a disorder.
Right. I'm not going through time and heat on a shower. And then, like, they had a party and if you wanted to, all the lights were out in the house and they used candles instead. I'm like, okay, I'm not that cheap where I'm like, no, don't turn any lights on. You have to use a candle if you want to go to the bathroom.
That's great talk.
And then, and that's other woman. If her kids, now this to me is disgusting too.
Yes.
Her kids or her husband, if any of them, like say she made a plate, which of course was crap food, but it was like fries and the dino nuggets or whatever. She put ranch on their plate and ketchup. Whatever they didn't finish on their plate, she would scoop that little bit back into the container.
Oh, no. Or didn't one also where they're making the kids share a bathtub full of water? Not all at once, but they took turns in the same bath.
But to me, reusing scraping the ranch or ketchup off of the plate back into the container, I was like, oh, please don't do that.
That's what always scared me too. Because you never knew how people were going to do, like when they do potlucks at the
I know that. Well, then when she hosted their football party, of course she used ranch and stuff, which had the already used ranch mixed in. And I'm like, this is why I don't like potlucks.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh, what are these people doing at their house? Right. So that's why I'm like, I'm frugal. Like, will we reuse aluminum foil? If it's clean, yes. But am I...
a spoon rest.
Right. And I don't know. Just a lot of the stuff I was like, yeah, I'm not going to reuse mouthwash. I'm not going to pour more of the ranch back in the ranch container.
I'll reuse these cups. I have a whole collection of them in the closet there. But what I do with them is that when I do sit down and eat my eggs, I crack the eggs and throw the shells into the cup. Put the cup into the fridge. Once it's full, throw it away. And I go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that gross? I'm hanging on to them that way? But
well, if you clean them, that's fine.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I'll wash them out before I put them in the thing. But then, like I said, I have a cup. This is full of empty shells in the fridge. They're already in the fridge, but it's in the very back of the fridge. I mean, is that gross? Should I stop doing that? Am I nasty for doing that?
I mean, not as nasty as some of them. And I do know on reality shows that, they a lot of it's, they're doing that like on purpose. But still the idea of doing some of that, some of this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Shauna said, laugh aloud, I quite often don't get any lights on and blackout curtains closed in my room. It's a shock when I leave my room.
It is.
Yeah, I do have the blackout curtains, and even on my room, because the sun was so strong, I got the
frosting. What's it called? It's a film she put on the window.
Yeah, so I put that on the windows as well, so that because it was just way too hot even then. But I want to get a curtain for this window here.
Yes.
And a couple others that I was like, yeah, we need some more blackout curtains.
Right.
Kate said, I'm still cracking up over those people sitting in the dark.
What an awesome party.
Yeah. Did you see that? In the football party, what they were having a football party. Yeah. And whenever it went to commercial, he had to turn the TV off.
How do you know when it comes back then?
You had to guess. I bet nobody went back to their house for another football party. Shauna said, currently sitting in the dark. Well, and that's fine. And she said, no bright light, but bright lights hurt my eyes. And I get that, bright lights. But I feel like in our house, I don't feel like the lights are all that bright.
They're really not. In some areas, we need them brighter.
Because like the kitchen here, I just have the spotlights. I used to have the ceiling that had the big
track light.
Tube light. And no, not a track light. It was a big tubes, and that would the big fluorescent lights. I got rid of all of that and had that like filled in, and now we've got a fan in the kitchen. But otherwise, I just get the little spotlights that have the LED. I like LED lights because I feel like they're not as bright as fluorescent.
You even got those type that are LED for the fans too.
Yeah. And Sharon said, sitting here too, big storm on the way.
Be safe, please.
Yeah. Shauna said, also, I think it's hereditary. My mom does it too. Well, yeah, if you grew up that way, you're kind of used to it.
Like I said, my parents smoke, and I don't smoke, so you can break stuff like that.
Well, that's true. Dustin said, StreamYard glitched and I restarted it. It came back up for me, but did not come back up on YouTube. I'm going to go live tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, to make up for it. Okay.
Sorry.
And he said, sad thing is they are promoting awful choices for diabetic children.
Yes,
let them eat what they want. That is what insulin's for.
Yes.
You can still eat most of the same foods your friends eat. You just have to balance what you eat with insulin. I know. Isn't that sad that they say that?
It becomes like they're not even doctors anymore. They're drug dealers. That's what it feels like.
StreamYard glitch out? It's not. I don't think it's StreamYard. I think it's
our internet, because it doesn't even when we're sitting there using this computer or mine and my laptop in there, it just does that. It just randomly turns off. Or on the phone, I'm not connected to the internet.
And Brenda S, hey, said it's the vegans jamming up the feed. No. Probably they heard me talk about them. Sean said, I used to call it better living through pharmaceuticals. Yes. Boy, was I wrong.
Right.
Wow. Isn't that like scary though to think that I'm sure there's other people who feel like the same way.
I feel like we really do need to talk to our internet. They need to fix it because it's their problem.
22Q Cat said, it helps so much that some of you have keto low carb channels. All this information and support wasn't really available when I started back in 2017. Right. There wasn't a lot of, that's what I mean. I can't really blame a lot of people because there wasn't access to a lot of information. And now I feel like there's so much out there. And again, so many people have different opinions.
Conflicting views sometimes.
Yeah, that it's almost too much now that people feel overwhelmed because it's like everybody's got an opinion.
Well, also, we were talking about the other night that when we first started, we were watching like almost all these keto channels. That's all we would watch. Half of them are gone now. They don't even have a channel anymore.
I know.
It's just weird.
Well, and then,
sad,
right. Well, and I again, it just depends because like one lady I watched and she does all the Kroger stuff. she was like, "Oh, my husband and I are doing keto again because that's how I lost weight." Yeah, because she just does it to lose weight. She loses, her 15 or 20 pounds. And she even said, "Yeah, I do feel better on keto and I definitely lose the weight. So I do it when I need to lose weight." And that's how she does it. But then she'll be like, "Ooh, I'm definitely going to grab this cereal that's on sale because that'll be great. And my kids love this sweet treat and that sweet treat." Because a lot of the stuff that's on sale is really garbage. And I'm like, what? And so, yeah, her thing is, it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you don't go over 20 net carbs in a day, you're okay. And so she's always like, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely pick this up. We're doing keto right now, so I could still have like one of these and I'll be okay." And I'm like, okay. So that's what I mean. There's so many different views. And some people are just like, "Well, yeah, so I just do keto by buying the low carb tortillas, or this says low carb." And I can see why they would think it's expensive to do that, because they're like, "So I buy these tortillas, they're $2 for 10 of them, but then I buy these low carbs and you get 8 and they're $8. Yeah, that's so expensive." And it's like, well, I could get that if that's their view of how to do keto.
Right.
Caden said, "Thank God we know what we know." Exactly. And again, that's to all of you for knowing. If you're here, it's because you took that initiative to make your life better. And it really is. You have to thank yourself for doing that. Shada said, "Easy, don't like to cook, get an air fryer." Right?
But some people still say that's cooking, though.
Yeah, because I was reading on one of the frugal channels, right? They were talking about, you do save a lot by cooking at home. And somebody replied, they were like, "Yeah, but you're not looking at that. Yeah, it might be cheaper, but then I have to spend the energy to figure out how to cook whatever it is, dirty all those dishes. Then I got to clean all those dishes, and then I have to pack it away. And that's time, an hour or two of my day to just cook. Like, you're not in all of that expense." And I was like, I mean, I get it. And if you're someone that, a lot of people have mental issues, which again, I do think keto would help a lot of that. But if you're not there yet, just try to spend 10 minutes to figure out a meal is overwhelming for some people. Even putting it in the air fryer, because then they're going to be like, "Oh, so now I have to buy an air fryer. What am I going to do with that?" Some people just don't have that. Right. And they just don't have the mental capacity to actually take cooking and figuring out what to do. And it's just easier to buy something that's ready made or to drive through and get something, because that's a lot quicker and easier. No dishes, none of the cleanup.
Remember, we were even trying to do some of those pre-made keto shops. Remember, the newest chef that was trying to do her little thing. But we found out it wasn't cost effective. We were still hungry afterwards.
Oh, yeah, because she just, anyhow. Yeah. But yeah, and I could see that. And that's why, like, every once in a while, I get all the time the Hello Chefs and different things. And I'll look at it because they'll be like, "Oh, it's so much better." And I'll hear other people who talk about, "Yeah, thankfully I do this, meal prep because it's really saved me." And I'm like, let me look. And I'm like, I do a lot better. But then I'm like, "But Shelly, your privilege is showing you do a lot better because you understand how to put food together to get a delicious meal." A lot of people don't have that training.
Or like, we've also looked like stuff like Butcher Box and everything, those type of deals.
Yeah.
But we are also very, very fortunate of where we live.
Right, exactly.
So we don't need those kind of deals. That's why we haven't done it, because it's not cost effective for us. It's easier to just go to the store and get it. We have all these farmers markets, we have all these meat shops, all these grocery stores. I mean, basically, we can throw a rock and hit 15 grocery stores right now. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. And so see, and that's why I'm like, well, I get it. For some people, they don't, we're not taught about finances, and we're not taught how to cook.
But we're taught how to do square dances at school.
Right. Or to clean. I was reading that the other day, that a lot of people who are messy, you can't really blame them. They were never taught how to clean.
Right.
And so I think a lot of basic life things people just aren't taught how to do that. And so then they grow up and they're busy working a job or sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. They don't have the capacity to figure out how do I cook all this, right? I mean, we do really try to make recipes feel like anybody could make. And that's why I try to make them as I hope so. Please give me feedback if you feel like if we put out a video and you're like, oh, this is too daunting, or Shelly, you did not simplify this. Let us know, because that's my goal, is to try to make it easy so people who are not cooking or don't understand how to cook, they can still make it and figure it out. Lynette said, hey, I just realized my kid's going to be with his dad for 10 days, and I'm wondering if y'all would like to come over here next Sunday for dinner.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
What do we need to bring?
Yeah. Check in with us and let us know what we need to bring.
And then so we can plan this too, so we know when we need to shut it down.
Or if you even, I remember you said you were thinking about going to the keto pho place.
Oh yeah, that's
if
right.
you're interested in that or whatever, just let us know. We'll get together. Sharon said, checking flights now. Oh, good, Sharon. To Lynette. Lynette said, I'm inviting anybody who wants to make the trip, right?
Hey, Sharon, you have a room. You can stay in Shauna's room.
Right.
So come on.
Brenda said, I tell people I can completely shop at Aldi for my way of eating. Exactly. Yes. Aldi has so many options. Really like Lynn said, she got the salmon. That's such a great price for wild salmon. And then I also got, when I was at Aldi last week, I got some more of the tuna steaks, wild tuna steaks, for $4.94 for 12 ounces. So it'll either be 3 or 4 fillets in there. And I was telling Heath about it, and the woman in front of me, when I hung up with you, she was like, oh, did you say you got tuna steaks? And I said, oh, yeah, it's only 4. And she goes, I heard that. She goes, ooh. She goes, how do you cook it? And I told her how I do it. I said, so easy. She goes, my husband's out of town right now, so I'll have to come and get that next week. I bet that's something he would enjoy.
Nice. Speaking of foods.
That's so easy.
After this is over, we need to do it, set up, because remember, I'm off Tuesday. I'm going to the store anyways. We need to put together our grocery list, because I want to get more vegetables, because I want to get the leafy greens, because I want you to make more pesto.
Well, you have to, that's from the farm.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind that.
Yeah.
Because remember, I wanted to use it on Friday.
Oh, but you ate it all.
I know.
Lynette said, when I said y'all, I really meant it.
That's awesome.
Oh, you're so sweet.
That's awesome.
And TQ Cat said, I do 99% of my shopping at Aldi. It definitely works. Yeah. I always feel
just don't forget your quarter.
Right? I prefer my produce even from Aldi. The only time I get it, like at Kroger or H-E-B, is if theirs are cheaper.
Right.
Because I will sometimes find the marked down mushrooms at Kroger, so I'll get those instead. Or, sometimes the avocados can be cheaper other places, especially now. Avocados jumped up to $3.49 for a bag of the 6-pack. That's almost $1 jump. So,
these were all from Aldi.
Right. Well, not the garlic.
Well, no, but look.
All the little trays.
The trays, see how many we stack up and save them? They work perfect for sorting stuff later when we're working on different things around the kitchen. So we upcycle all this stuff too. That's all from Aldi. Oh, great. Now I'm up. I gotta use the bathroom.
And then we got the Serranos. I do like their produce. And I get my olives at Aldi too, because that's the best price for olives. So there's definitely a lot of stuff. Now on the meat, I do find I can usually get cheaper meat by shopping the loss leader, like at Kroger, where they have the markdown. But that's basically how I get my meat. I will check and look, because yesterday at Aldi, they had the 50% off sticker on their ground pork. So I grabbed one of those. So it's only $1.74 for a pound of ground pork. Can't beat that. So I grabbed that. So I always look for that, but sometimes I don't find the meat, the beef and stuff's all that cheap. But I do like the seafood. That's still a good price. And the chicken. I got chicken thighs marked down too. $7.29 for a 3-pound bag of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Sharon said, thunderstorm warning. Finally, some rain. Well, good. I'm glad you're going to get some rain for all your plants you got. And she said, power just flickered here. The storm coming. It might be a big one. Oh, well, stay safe. I'm glad you're inside, Sharon. She said, thunderstorm coming.
Aww.
Okay, here, you like that. Sean said, for me, potatoes were a staple
Yes,
for every meal. With my mom being Irish, I love potatoes. We had to have them with every meal in some form.
That was me too. My dad was meat and potatoes. That's what he wanted. Every meal.
And that's why, like at the early, when we first started keto, we were still doing meat in 2 sides. So we would have like the salad, and then he always had to have croutons in a salad.
Yes.
So when we went keto, we bought like those wisp and Parmesan crisp things to put in the salad.
We totally glossed over one important fact I was going to talk about today.
Oh.
All my trials and tribulations on last Tuesday, remember? All the stuff I had problems with and the grocery bags and all that, remember?
Well,
so if you go back and look at the video, my promo video at the beginning of this, my little trailer before this came on, you see all those little different pictures and whatnot.
Okay, so tell us what all happened this past Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, I was scheduled to go have the tune-up done on my truck. I was scheduled maintenance on it, right? Well, I got there, and their power was out. And I don't know why. That just ruined my whole day. I was just all out of sorts the rest of that day, remember?
Yeah, and I'm at work, y'all.
Yeah.
So when he's off on Tuesday, I'm at work. I'm supposed to be working.
In between her getting up, running around, doing all the stuff around the house, too.
What are you talking about?
You do that all the time.
No, I don't. Not when I'm working, especially when I'm doing wires. No, I don't. Only time is when you're messaging me saying, can you come help with this?
So we have a whole collection of reusable shopping bags. The nice fancy ones. And then for a while there, when we were pre-keto, so it was over 5 years ago, we were doing runs for like Favor and
Uber Eats.
So Uber Eats and it's the other one. It's the red bag we have all of them. DoorDash. We have I still have the DoorDash bag. We use it all the time at the store too, because it's insulated, so it works for all of our frozen stuff. I don't know how I did it, but I left the bag at the store full of all of our bags, and I even had the fancy produce bags that are reusable. They're like knit, and then they have a little shrink wrap on mesh. My mom got them for me for Christmas one year, and they're fabulous for produce. That I have one giant bag with all the little ones stuffed into it. That was in there too.
Well,
I lost my mind.
Can we back up because you went first to H-E-B in the morning because they opened up at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So you got there close after they opened, right?
Yeah.
Because then you hit Dutch.
Yes.
Brought that back, and then you went to the car dealership.
Yes.
And that's when you found out that was done, and then you came home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you decided in the afternoon you needed more Zevias.
Yeah, I only had 6 left, and that wouldn't make me till the end of the week. And the best the best price we found is a 24-pack at Sam's, but it's in Humble, an hour from here.
30 minutes.
Well, round trip. That's an hour.
So anyways, so then in the afternoon he realizes this.
I should have went first thing in the morning, because also if I do it ahead of time, Sam's doesn't actually open up till 11 a.m. unless you're doing pickup. You can do it at 9:30.
So then what happened in the afternoon, mind you? So remember, you went to H-E-B at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
That we're now in the afternoon.
I decided like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon I could go and go do that. And then we also went to Aldi and for I think jalapenos and then something else.
And then when did you realize when you went to Aldi, right?
Yeah. I didn't have my bags in my truck, so and then I was like, oh, so now, and then I'm not dummy. I thought I remembered going to a different H-E-B than I actually went to, And I didn't realize it until I got to the one that's closest to us because their carts are different. Like I said, I feel like an idiot.
So that afternoon,
I've just been driving around.
He went to Sam's in Humboldt. Then he went to Aldi, realized he didn't have the bags, and he's calling me saying, I don't have the bags. Are they there?
Yeah.
And so then I had to get up and go check the garage in case he left the bags there.
Because I have a little folding table I used to take to work with me. I carried around in my truck for when I was working off the back of my the tailgate of my truck, all my cabinet stuff. I have a little folding table. We just leave it set up in the garage just to catch all when we walk in and set stuff on.
So I went
I
there.
thought I left the bags.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, and he's like, okay. And then he asked me, which HEB did he go to?
Well, because you had the receipt. So it'd tell me the address.
Oh, you never said that. You never said go check the receipt. And I don't think I did because I think you had them in your wallet still. He never said that. He was like, which HEB did I go to? And I said, well, we discussed that you would go to this one because it's only a mile from Dutch. And he's like, yeah, but I don't think I did. I said, well, I don't know. I wasn't with you. And so then he goes to that one and he's like, here it is, like almost 4 p.m. And he's like, I don't think it was this HEB. And I said, well, that's the one we mapped out the night before. I can only tell you what HEB that we said you were going to go to. So then he's like, no, I think it's my favorite HEB. So then he goes to that one. I'm like, I don't know why you would go to that one. That was the furthest from Dutch. And he's like, because it's my favorite. I'm like, okay, well, that's not what we discussed. So I don't know. So then he goes to HEB.
And they had it because it's my favorite. They knew I was coming back.
Yeah. So that afternoon, from almost 12 hours later, they held on to his bag.
I know it sounds funny, but just little things about that store just tickle me and just make me happy. They don't have a standard shopping cart there. You know, with a basket, you know, where the kid that doesn't fold up. That one is fixed. It stays in that one spot, and there's one little thing on the end where it has a spot where you can fit your phone in it.
And it has a drink holder.
Yes. I don't ever use the drink holder. I use it for like
sometimes.
Every once you do, but like for stuff like this, like if I'm buying these, I set it in there instead of put it down in the cart.
Yeah.
Any round stuff like that, or like when we buy like salad dressings or something like that, it goes in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about that. Just something about the store, like the way it's laid out and everything.
I do have to say. So, you know, I shop at Kroger fairly often. I do have to say HEB's got better carts.
Yes. And another thing I like about it, when I leave there, I go one exit over and to the left, and there's a Kroger.
Yeah.
So I just make a loop and come back. And then down from there is the Aldi.
Yeah.
And then down from there is the Dutch.
Yeah, Dutch is right across from the Aldi.
Yeah.
But it's still a little further.
Yeah,
but
I just make a loop, though, and come back.
Yeah. So he got, that's what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So at least he got the bags back. I had already said, well, probably won't get the bags because it's been since early this morning.
Right.
But he had them. So Lynette has a question for you. For your replacement tropical energy drinks, could you blend coconut pineapple seltzer water with the stoked mango from Salty?
Possibly.
Yeah.
If I wasn't out of Salty.
Right?
But yeah, that's an idea.
Keto Simple said, most of those extreme cheapskates is a mental disorder.
Yes.
Well.
And I think a lot of it's for shock value, too. You don't know if they actually lived that way for the filming.
Right. Well, and there is truly a thing called scarcity mindset.
Yes.
And like the one woman about the football, I was like, as she talked about, you know, growing up poor, and I was like, that's what it is. She has that scarcity mindset because her husband kept saying, we've got plenty of money in the bank. We've got money. You know, we put all this money aside. He's like, we can have it. And I'm like, she has a scarcity mindset.
Remember, because
she's so scared of being in that poor again that she feels like she has to be this extreme.
Your grandma's out of way because she grew up in the Depression.
Right. And yeah, she had a scarcity mindset too, where she was just like, oh no, I don't want to order tea when I go out. I have to order water because that's how she felt.
But see, there's another way I'm thrifty.
Oh, jeez.
I reuse this salt shaker. And you can see I put a sticker on it. This way I know this is the new one because we have another one just like this over there on the counter. But we got a bag of the smoked salt from Redmond So I said it just makes more sense just to put it in a red bin container. And so it works perfect. This is me being thrifty, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But yeah, and there is that mindset because I hear it, on the finance channels. And I feel like sometimes I do have a little bit of the scarcity mindset as well. Because if you grew up really poor, it is hard to get that.
Right.
And I grew up, without air conditioning. We were just like, especially parents divorced, like my mom just couldn't figure out, she didn't have any extra money at all. So we just didn't do anything. So yeah, sometimes I am like that where I'm like, ooh, we need to be careful. We got to save this money because you just never know.
Because remember, I call it upcycling because I've been doing this for years. This is my taco season. This is what I did for it. I just grabbed another container and put a label on it. And this is a sticker that Shauna made us. This is my taco season. I'm making this every single time. But somebody said it was silly for me to do that and bought me a collection of nice glass ones. So I put stickers on those too so we know which ones they are. But I feel like that's me being thrifty.
Right. No, it is. Brenda said, my husband's niece was on a reality show. The production crew encouraged the people to go to extremes and gets people to watch. Right. They do. They do that. It gets people to watch and here we are talking about it, right? That woman might not actually scrape ranch off of her child's plate back into the container, but she sure did it for the show.
They might not even have been her idea. Maybe it may have been the producer.
Exactly. Or the production team. Tweety Cat said, thanks, Shelly. I'll never eat at so-and-so's again. No used condiments for me. Good grief. Right? I was like, oh.
Another one right here. I use this still on a daily basis. It's just an empty chili powder, but it works perfect. My toothpicks.
Keto Simple said, talk to everyone soon. I'm going to make some lunch. Oh, shoot.
Did you kill it all?
No. Oh, good.
You shrunk it.
I'm going to make some lunch and stuff. Have a great rest of your Sunday. You too, Dustin. Sharon said, save and crush the shells, then use at the base of plants outside.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Eggshells are great when we do our farming.
Also, we were doing for a while when we were making the dog food.
Yeah, I would use it in that. Yeah.
She would always pick it out. If we didn't crunch it up big enough, she would pick it out, didn't want it.
It was small enough?
Yeah.
Sharon said, my kitchen lighting is dimmable, and on several circuits, we go from low to you need sunglasses. Oh, that's nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be nice. The only dimming we have is the dining room, right?
Which is weird, the dining room.
But I would say in our hall, we replaced the hall with an LED light. And so used to, it was just a single bulb. And, it would
dark spots.
Yeah, we'd have dark spots and it'd be, not as bright. But when we put this LED we got from, I think, Costco,
well,
dang, that hall, when you turn on the hall light, you're like,
it's
wow.
like Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Because she was actually kind of worried about putting it in there because before we did it, we have two utility closets in there.
Yeah.
Linen closets. But she was afraid because in the past, when she opened the door, there'd be a dark spot and you'd actually do basically almost an eclipse.
Yeah.
When you open the door. But this light, there's three of them that point all around. It doesn't, you don't need it bright. Just like she said, it did come as a twin pack and it was actually made for the garage, which is where I put it originally. And I had to come over and put a new fixture in the ceiling in the hallway because the one that was there, for whatever reason, the light bulb screwed in sideways. Instead of just taking it and screwing it in, you actually had to put it in this way and screw it in. It was weird.
Yeah.
So the thing I bought, it would only screw in straight up.
That's what she said. Tweety Cute Cat said, we're doing keto right now. What? I can't imagine just doing keto if I wanted to lose weight and then go back to SAD. Sounds crazy to those of us who know it to be a lifestyle.
Right.
Exactly. I know. That's why it's always shocking to me. And then to be like, oh, okay, because there was like some garbage dessert. And she's like, oh, I'll get that because yeah, you can still eat that on keto. And I'm like, there's sugar and there's wheat and all of that.
Mhm.
But I know some people's definition of keto, it varies. I'm more of the person, it should be whole foods and not it's only depends on the carb count. Because I honestly feel like you know, I would be better off eating a sweet potato, yes, I know is higher in carbs, versus getting some kind of keto marketed item that's only, 15 total carbs. I'm like, yeah, that might be, whatever keto granola that's 15 total carbs, but I'm going to get fuller and get better nutrients from this sweet potato that might have a little more carbs. But I think in the end, my body's not like, ooh, you went over the carb count. I think my body's like, ooh, this food has lots of nutrients. Let's use it up. Versus, some of the method of, oh, we're just going to only pay attention to the carb count.
I think that's also why we only do one trash can once a week now, too.
Yeah, because
we don't have all the packages from all that stuff.
Exactly. 22Q Cat said, your recipe videos are great.
Thank you.
Not too difficult or time consuming and taste great. Don't ever stop. Well, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Because sometimes I will admit I have a little bit of imposter syndrome where I'm like, well, maybe
it messes with my head a little bit. It's like we'll have a certain video, they'll have like a bajillion views, and another one will have like 2. I'm like, what? Why? Why?
Yeah. Like some of it, I'm like, really? Why? And it's always funny because it's like stuff where I'm like, oh, this is such a great recipe. It's so delicious. Everybody's going to love it. And it gets 60 views. And I'm like, really? I thought this would be something everybody would enjoy. And then we do something like, oh, air fryer rainbow trout. And it has 70
popular video.
Well, it's second most. Remember the Asta?
Oh, our meat slicer is the most popular one.
But I'm like, really? Like that one, honestly, when we did the air fryer rainbow trout recipe,
we just threw it together.
It was just like, we were in the hotel. You probably noticed that. And I was just like, okay, we're here. We might as well just film it. And that's all it was. And we were like, oh, then we'll just have something to put out. And then it gets 7,500 views since we put it out.
That's why we came to an opinion, too, that if we're cooking, we're filming.
Right. Because you just never know.
Right.
Because, again, the stuff I think, oh, yeah, a lot of people like this. Nobody does. And I'm like, okay. And then recipe, I was just like, oh, that video just sucked. Like, that was the worst filming and blah, blah, blah.
That's what it is, because of lasagna.
Yeah. And we put it out and it gets
loved it.
Yeah. And I'm like, really, that one where it just like totally like we almost ditched all of the video because I was so mad about it. And he was like, no, let's just do it. And I'm like, what? It's funny to me. So you can't really plan, or I feel like I can't. 22Q Cat said, I think that wild caught salmon was only $5.95 for a pound at Aldi. How awesome is that? Right. And sometimes you can catch it where they'll have a 2-pound bag for $9.99. And so I'll get that when I see it, but they don't always carry the 2-pound bags. Lynn said, I'm in heaven every time I find those 50% off meats at Aldi. I know.
I found them before where they're 75% off too.
At Aldi?
Yes.
You have the best luck.
But
I love those stickers though.
A lot of times.
Where is it? Oh, there we go. That was funny how it froze. It looked like I was looking at Heath's butt, didn't it? I was like, ooh, look at that butt. Okay. Radical Geek, hey, Betraya, how you doing? Said hello. Shauna said, laugh out loud, hashtag Heath problems, right? And Laura S is here. Hey, Laura, how are you? Sharon said, it's the little things that make Heath happy, right? It really is, right, honey?
What do you mean?
The little things that make you happy.
Pretty much.
You just have to give a little effort and he's happy. Mary T, hey, said, hi, all. You are likely almost ready to go. I just got in from my weekend trip. I was so sad there were clouds all over the mountains, but I took a few pics with y'all in mind. Oh, that's awesome, Mary T.
You gonna post them in the group?
Yeah, put them in our group. Shauna said, I never turn on my overhead light, but I have 2 dimmable lamps and one of those light bulbs I run with an app. Oh, that's cool.
We have a ceiling fan here in the kitchen. It's been probably 2 years since we changed that light bulb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes you don't need them, the different lights. And, when we watch TV, we always turn the lights out, too.
Right.
Except when we have company, because I think we think it's weird.
Right. Well, because we have a light right beside the couch that has 3 separate lights on it. We usually only turn one of them on.
Yeah.
It just lights. It makes the TV look better. Every once in a while, we'll turn a light on in the hallway, so it sets the mood just right.
Oh, sets the mood. Radical Geek said the air fryer egg life chips I did was a horrible quality video, but it has like 5,000 views. Most of my videos get between 50 to 200. Right. Isn't that just like something that you're like, oh, this is crap. And then you put it out and everybody's like, oh my gosh, that was the best ever. And I'm like, that's why from now on, if I'm like, well, I think it sucks, but let's do it anyways, because you just never know. And then again, seriously, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is going to be so cool. Especially when I try to do like a carnivore, like when I did the carnivore mashed potatoes. Yeah. Or potato salad. Nobody cared about it. I was like, okay, well, I guess not. But then I do air fry rainbow trout and everybody loves it.
From basically camping out.
I know. Radical Geek said it's my #1 video every week.
Every week? Wow.
Wow. Ours is the Asta meat slicer.
Yeah.
Almost every single week that gets more views than any other video.
That's what I was telling you. What I want to do is make another air fryer tri-tip and then use that meat slicer and actually slice it up. Okay.
Sean said, great, catch it. Great punch, Shelly. 2ATQ Cat said he'd show it off with 75% at Aldi. I wish.
It was one time. It was one time. Usually it's 50 or 25 is what I usually find.
I see it 30% off a lot. And I'm just like, that sucks. I thought it was a 50 off. And then that's what I was scared of yesterday when I saw the ground pork. I was like, ooh. And I was like, oh, good. It's 50, not 30. I'm like, don't make me do that much math.
I've seen it a lot there, but it's always like tilapia or something.
I know.
Or I've seen them a lot at HEB, but it's always on their pre-seasoned meat. And it's always got some wonky ingredient in it.
Yes. Well, I saw that too at Aldi too. They have some pre-seasoned meats, and I was like, well, I don't want that. Right. And I went to Kroger. They had tons marked down pork belly at Kroger.
Really? I've never seen pork belly there.
I know.
Did you get it?
It was all pre-seasoned. Oh. They did barbecue. It said paprika barbecue seasoned pork belly, all of it. And it was all marked down. But of course, the seasoning had maltodextrin and corn syrup solids. Oh. I was like, never mind.
Garbage.
I was like, well, that sucks. Because we could have had some good old pork belly. But nope. Shada said, wow, it's freezing in Texas today.
And that's what I told Dustin, or told everybody on Dustin's this morning, is that we really like making our own homemade bacon. But you've been finding it on sale so often now. We haven't made it in I don't know how many months now.
Right. Well, because it's been cheaper than buying the pork belly.
Yeah.
Mary T said, we had a good discussion over the weekend. Serious vegans, keto, paleo, carnivore all have one thing in common. No processed foods.
Well,
I honestly think that's the key, no matter what way of eating you choose. I agree 100%. Yes. That's why I've said before, I think if you just, no matter where you're at, so those that are saying it's too high, if you just do away with processed foods, and I'm going to say seed oils.
Yes.
Like I'm against canola and soybean oils. So I think if you do away with those two things, no matter what else you're eating, I think overall you'll be a lot healthier.
That's the other thing on my trailer this week. I found that one bottle of sauce. What was it? I don't even remember what it is now. But it sounded really awesome. But I flipped around and the ingredients made me sad. Because maybe not want to buy it.
Yeah, because a lot of them.
Look, I sent you the picture of it, remember?
Oh, I don't remember where it's at.
It's in the pictures in our
chat.
Gosh. So I can't remember what it is now. What I was like I don't even remember now.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Hand me your phone.
Well, you have arms. But I agree. And Radical Geek said, I think we're going to see if we can actually make a flatbread from cottage cheese and eggs. 50-50 chance whether it's TikTok is right or full of crap. Right.
It was a sriracha mayo, which is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I could have told you that wouldn't happen. Because anytime I see anything, and this goes for Aldi too, they have some really good looking dips.
Mm-hmm.
They all have soybean or canola oil. So I just go, nope, never mind.
Who was it? Ben Azadi has a little card.
Yeah, he does do the card. And I'm not to that because I just realized, well, if I go out to eat, it's probably going to be, that's why it's better just not to go out to eat because they are going to use those cheap oils.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that isn't very good. And we do feel better when we don't go out to eat.
Or we found that one little bakery. Remember that had keto goods and stuff? Making our own pork rinds, chicharrones.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, cool, that's awesome. And you ask her, what are you cooking them in? She's like, soybean oil? Oh, how proud about it. And you're like, oh, never mind.
I know. That's always the first thing I ask. What are you cooking in? Laura said, what? I love the potato salad. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
You didn't make the splash like we thought it was going to.
Right. I thought it would be, but I'm glad. Thank you. Sharon said, my favorite recipe you have is the capuchana.
Oh, yeah.
The Moriscos. Oh, I love that too.
Please make
That's so good. Mom Bear, well, thank you both, Sharon and Laura, for letting us know. Lynette said, I also saw that pork belly at Kroger this morning. Read the ingredients and thought the same thing. Crappy, darn it. I know. And I was like, no, why did you do that?
Boiled again.
I know. And that's why it's just anytime I see any type of seasoned meat, I just stop even looking. Because I just get so mad. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with a lot of sausages. You can't get them either because they put all kinds of stuff in it. And you really have to search to find a good, clean one.
We have a list of ones we wanted to make sausages.
I know.
We need to actually start working on that. That'll give us more content.
Yeah.
We have everything to do it. We just need to buy the casing.
But I was just like, why did Kroger just get in plain pork belly? Why did they have to season it?
And thinking they're going to sell it more when obviously they're not. That's why you got to mark it down.
Oh, because they're thinking no, I just want your plain pork belly. Mm-hmm. Stop seasoning this shit. Sorry, that's probably a bad word. But it does make me mad.
Me too.
And I was sad about that because I would have bought every package they had of it.
Remember we done it before at they had that bacon on sale.
Oh yeah.
We wiped them out and Shelly felt bad. I said, why? They're here to sell it. That's the whole purpose of this store is to sell this product. Well, we're helping them do that by us buying it. Why there's nothing to be mad about?
No, I wasn't mad.
Well, no, you were worried about it though.
I wasn't worried. No, I just always.
Was it rude?
Well, because I'm like somebody else might have been needing some cheap bacon too, and I hate other people.
Charity starts at home.
Jeez. All right. Well, we've been going for 2 hours now.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts?
Help me. We got chores to do.
Yes. We got to finish cleaning this kitchen.
And I had to go fight with a computer again. And I got to put that. I don't know what happened. To try and help us get better connection on our internet the other night, she turned my laptop off instead of just disconnecting it.
It's my fault.
I've done it in the past with no problems. But this time, somehow, It came back up, and now the keypad doesn't work anymore.
The keyboard.
Yeah, the keyboard doesn't work anymore. But I also need to add in there the fact that I've dropped the thing like probably 6 or 7 times. It doesn't come together good. It doesn't latch together correctly.
Yeah, the bottom part of his old laptop doesn't. This part right here is
The
not
case.
the case itself doesn't attach.
Yeah.
And one day I took it apart, and he's actually where the screws would, take the top and bottom together.
It's busted.
It's busted, so you can't even get a replacement screw because he broke that part there.
And then also there's a weird connection where the plug's in the charge. If you don't set it on there just so, it doesn't hold the charge.
Yeah.
And it just dies. So I have to set it in there just so, set it on top of the cord, and it's perfect. But if you move it wrong, it starts draining it.
Yeah.
So it's on its last leg, and now the keypad doesn't work. I have to click the little thing and do the on board or on screen type one. You click each button one by one. But then I found out that I have a USB keyboard that I can plug into it and do it that way. I know it sounds really odd and convoluted and everything, but the editing program we like is on that computer. This one on this computer, it doesn't work the way we want it to work. We haven't it yet. Huh? You don't use it either. You always edit your videos in there too.
Well, it's
First world problems.
Yeah, the problem with the editor on this one is when you add pictures, it like if we add videos, it does fine, but the pictures and what's to overlap the picture, it takes a lot longer. And I told him that's why we bought this computer, was honestly to replace that one. But he just hasn't got used to the editing software on this one.
I don't want to get used to it. I wanted to use the other editor.
Exactly. That's what it comes under. Sean said, Heath, you're looking a little peckish. Might have to take tomorrow off.
Thank
Sean.
you, sir. Where are we going, brother?
Radical Geek said, well, see, we're what, just under 2 hours. That's right. We got Radical Geek at 5 Central, y'all.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll call it a night. Okay. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Thank you for listening to us rant about just silliness.
Yeah. Well, not all of it was silly. I thought the rant about health was fun.
Right. And like I said,
love to rant.
I had a whole thing planned out. I even put it in my trailer, and I didn't even talk about it until the very end.
About your soda or your energy drinks.
Well, that and all the tribulations and trials. This last Tuesday. I know. And now next Tuesday, I'm going back to the dealership again because the power's back on now. Because I still need to get that done on my truck.
Yes. All right, y'all.
Have
a wonderful day, and happy Memorial Day tomorrow. Yes. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Did you hear?